Hey, welcome to bearsbanter. My name is Bernard. You got Keith Floyd Noah in the broadcasting, Jay Beasley, and Guy will be joining us later. Dr. Quick can't make it, and Tammy can't make it. Hey, how y'all doing tonight?
Good. Another night. I'm good though. I'm good. Can't complain.
Okay. Hey, you got a little time off work today, huh, Jay? I know they've
been
working, man.
Well, I'm off Thursday and Friday. So
you off Thursday and Friday? Okay.
Yeah, I'm off Thursday and Friday. I wish I could say I was on Saturday and Sunday, but but I'm off on Thursday and Friday. Back to work for me in the morning at 6:30. So
okay.
It is what it is, man.
Yeah, hey Plank, you had a week to reflect about the game last week. I mean, you got any thoughts since you thought about the game all week?
Oh yeah, I was excited. I'm glad that the Bears were able to impose their will. And that's it's kind of funny. Before the game, you remember I started saying this team is in such bad shape mentally. They don't even realize if we go on a winning streak, we can end up with a positive record and possibly make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, when we went into the game, we were 4-8. And the only one on the team that I remember saying anything about playoffs was Cole Kmet. So I wanted to make sure I gave him his props or whatever. Now it seems like the entire NFL has kind of started looking at the Bears a little bit differently. And they didn't have a choice because offensively, the Bears are scoring points. They got a heck of a running game. And defensively, we're starting to turn into a juggernaut, which I didn't expect. I know it doesn't seem like anybody did. So as far as I'm concerned, it's all good news. I hope we can continue and possibly make a little bit of noise in this playoffs.
Okay. Hey, what about you, Jay? Because I think you was at the game, so you didn't get a chance to get on the post game, right?
Yeah. I was at the game, and the energy, as usual, at Soldier Field, man. One thing I can't say, man, I can't say Bears fans, the real Bears fans, they bring a lot of energy, man, and just to be at the stadium, to feel that energy and to have everybody thinking that the Bears can actually win a game, it's exhilarating. It really is. And for them to come out and do what they did, and they physically, like Plank said, impose their will on the Detroit Lions, who, again, on the post game, on the pregame, I said last week, the Lions are reverting back to who we said they are. And in December, in November, late November, when they got to play outside, Jared Goff is not a good quarterback. I'm actually expecting them to lose to Denver tomorrow. That's a whole nother story. But I'm actually expecting Detroit to lose to Denver tomorrow. It's some great games on the slate coming up this week, and but I was excited just to see the Bears actually win a game, get a lead, and sustain it. And the defense actually, for the first time this year, everybody is fully healthy. Unique Ngakoue, I hate that because he was just actually starting to play his best ball once they acquired Montez Sweat. But he got the broken ankle, so he's out. But this gives an opportunity to some other guys to step up. So we'll see how it works. But I was elated about the game. I picked them to win last week only because the game before that, the prior game against Detroit, we should have won that game. So
yeah,
it's a good feeling right now as a Bears fan to see what can actually happen. I ain't gonna make no predictions like Cole Kmet, but I second his motion that anything can happen right now. And if they get past this Cleveland team, it's gonna be something to see. It's really gonna be something to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. From thinking about that game and us discussing it all week, the defense, how good they're playing is. It almost even seems special, right? When you start looking at the turnovers. I mean, I don't want to ignore what I saw the first 2 or 3 games because I know we kind of say when Poles started taking over play calling, but actually Poles took over play calling the second game.
You mean Flukes?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Flukes. I'm talking about. Flus took a play call in the second game, but they didn't look good then. But I would definitely say I did see the improvement some before Sweat got there. But with Sweat there, everybody seemed to be eating, and it seemed like everybody confidence is growing. And I know we even talked about Briscoe at one point, Jay, and that might be one of the few times when I could say safety got that many tackles, and it wasn't because his man was burning him, and it wasn't because the teams were getting to the second level. He really just got down there like he was like the man in the box back in the day, and just
Jaquan Brisker, you know, me and Ed, the guy I go to the games, but me and Ed Fairchild, what's up, Ed? We talked about it at the beginning of the season, how we talked about Jaquan Brisker think he's actually better than he is, just because of the swag. Right. Remember when I said how his swag was? I'm like, Jaquan Brisker actually think he's better than he really is. Last week, he shut my mouth. I was like, okay. I was like, okay. This dude coming downhill, and the 17 tackles. I think he had 13 of them was like solos. He was coming downhill last week, and I'm like, this is what I like to see from an in the box safety. So yeah, a shout out to Jaquan. You played a hell of a game last week.
Yeah, I went to the grocery store up the street, and Jaquan Brisker was out there in the parking lot tackling people out there too. So I was like, dude. But you know, the Bears, they've got
say something for later.
They got a lot of special things that are happening right now that a lot of people don't really realize. One, I'm talking about the defense. TJ Edwards, this dude is way better than I thought he actually brought. You know, his brother, his daddy, Billy, hats off to you, man. You did a good job.
Go, my friend.
He was kind of invested with us. I had no idea he had in it. But when you put TJ Edwards and Edmonds together, this is what we traded Roschon Smith for. We're getting really special play out of that. Dexter is actually starting to show up, and you can see the difference in the push that he's getting every game, and he's getting in the backfield. That's why it's disruptive and it's hard to run against him, because he was already a good player against the run. And as far as on offense, we are playing bully ball. Braxton Jones and Darnell Wright, they're doing a really good job. But, you know, hats off to Tevin Jenkins. I saw a couple plays from Tevin Jenkins when I finally got to look at the game, because I was out of town last week. He was bullying people on the sidelines. He was picking different defensive linemen up. This dude is just a beast, and he's actually leading the entire offensive line to kind of set the tone. So I think we're in a great place, actually.
And one thing I can't say.
Jay, let me say something real quick, Jay. I'm sorry. I just wanted to compliment something Plank just said. I think so often that, you know, we used to get caught up on the grass is green on the other side with players on other teams. And I know I really try to make it a point this year more than anything to appreciate the guys on our team. Like you just mentioned, TJ Edwards, and I've been pumping them up a lot this year. And I'm gonna say this, and I was arguing with a worker, one of my coworkers, a day ago, and he brought up Roquan, and I told him that TJ Edwards' stats were identical, and he didn't believe him. So I'm just gonna share it for the viewers. And Jay, you jump in. I'm sorry, as soon as I finish this, I don't want to take too long on it. Roquan Smith has 136 total tackles, 1 forced fumble, 1.5 sacks, no interceptions, 75 solo tackles. TJ Edwards has 131 total tackles, 1 forced fumble, 2 interceptions, 2 sacks, 75 solos. Those stats are almost identical. Right. Now, you could argue that the Ravens have been a better team than the Bears this year, so you may kind of hear Roquan, you know, you may gravitate towards winning a little more, but basically they're doing the same thing. And if you add Tremaine Edwards since he signed 2 for 1, Tremaine Edmonds, I'm sorry. He has 72 tackles total, 49 solos. He has no sack, and he has 3 picks. Those are impact plays, interceptions, and forced fumbles.
Absolutely.
Well, it's interesting that you're talking about impact plays because we were talking about that even back to last year. Tackles in and of themselves don't mean a whole lot.
Right.
And a lot of people don't really understand that.
Right.
It's about as important as sacks. So if we think about it, we just watched LA Chargers play yesterday against the Raiders, who just lost to Minnesota 3-0.
3-0.
And they gave up a 63 burger. Khalil Mack was out there. He might have got 3 or 4 sacks yesterday. Did it help them? No. So a lot of those stats are just really empty stats. It's more important to have impact plays. And if you look at TJ Edwards, I've seen him miss a couple tackles or whatever, but every time that guy's out there, he's bringing it. And his pedigree is coming from Philadelphia Eagles. Last year, he was in the Super Bowl. So you can't just discount that he knows how to win, and he comes from a winning culture, and he's bringing that to what we're doing in Chicago now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Can you fit me in?
Okay. Right, absolutely. And I just think, ever since Eberflus has taken over this defense, you see a difference. And like I say, right now, everybody is healthy. And that's the biggest thing. Everybody is healthy. You got, I mean, our secondary, people can say what they want to about Eddie Jackson. And I like Eddie Jackson, but I think his time here is up after this season. But that just to have that veteran presence in the secondary with these young guys, with Stevenson, well, Jalen Johnson is a veteran now. He's in his 4th year, but you got Kyler Gordon and Blackwell and all these guys, man. Hicks, Terrell Smith. They playing with so much confidence, and that confidence didn't come until Eberflus took over this defense and put his hands on it. And again, I can say, I like y'all know my whole thing about Nagy. I was like, I like him as a head coach, but I don't like him as an offensive coordinator. I like Eberflus as a defensive coordinator. I just don't like him as a head coach.
Mm-hmm.
But this defense is playing lights out right now. They playing lights out right now, and it's going to be really interesting if you can go into Cleveland, which is a tough place to play. But if you could go in there and silence the crowd, and I'm trying not to go all over the place because I got so many things I want to talk about on this show right now. If they can go in there and silence that crowd and beat the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland, your next couple of games, you got Arizona, Atlanta, and then that finale against Green Bay. This is setting up for a nice thing as a Bears football fan. If you love the Bears and you love Bears football, this is setting up to be so nice. And even if the Bears lose this week, if they don't get blew out, if it's a competitive game, you still talking about we are on the cuspice of being something better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Jay, I saw one of Facebook user indicate why they talking about getting another tackle in the draft, and nothing wrong with. I don't think nothing wrong with Braxton Jones either. I agree with you.
There is nothing wrong with Braxton Jones, but if you have anytime you have a team and you have the opportunity to get better, so. And what I want to explain that. What I mean by that is Braxton Jones was a 5th round draft pick. Mm-hmm. He's a 5th round draft pick. If you can get an elite tackle in the 1st round, I don't see nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, I still want to hold off on talking about the draft and all of that, because I'm gonna tell you something. If Braxton Jones show up this week against Myles Garrett and he do what he's supposed to do, that is cementing his position on this offensive line. This game right here, out of all the games, we've been through a bad season. We lost the first 4 games. Now we won 5 out of the last 9. this season has been actually really compelling. It's like a tale of two different halves, and so it's so much. But what I don't want to talk about is the draft. I just want to complete this season so we can see exactly where we are, and then those decisions can be made.
Yeah, I do think, Jay, looking at the secondary, that was a unit that coming into this season that a lot of us said would be the strong point. And I guess earlier it didn't look like that, right? Because they just didn't have a pass rush. And first they were just trying to put rush 4 and they wasn't getting there and people were catching passes. And I know I even started saying, hey, look like they only could beat backup quarterbacks, right? But part of that is because, the starting quarterbacks was getting, they was getting that much time. They was just going to eat them up. But now I'm not going to say that because I see those guys making plays now. And I'm going to say JJ is balling out. I know Quick saying he ain't, but
and that was going to be my thing. Because what happened was everybody everybody talking about, well, Jenna Johnson, they don't throw to his side because the other corner's so bad. The other corner, Kendall, Vildor, and all them guys, they were bad. So now you got Tyreek Stevenson over there. And Tyreek Stevenson is a dog. I digress when I say I felt like they drafted him too high. So now teams are looking at the Bears secondary like, okay, Tyreek Stevenson, he can ball a little bit. So let's throw at Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson's like, yeah, come on, throw to me. And I'm going to show y'all what I can do. And that's been a byproduct of Montez Sweat coming in with the pass rush, Tyreek Stevenson being able to hold his own, Tyreek Stevenson / Terrell Smith been able to hold their own on the other side. So now teams are looking like, okay, let's throw at Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson, like, I welcome that because guess what? Yeah. I think I am an elite corner and I can show y'all. And the Bears should have signed him before now because the price is only going up. The price is only going up.
Well, I got a bit of a different take on Jalen Johnson, right? Okay. He's a good. I think he's always been a good cover corner. But if he's truly to be an elite corner, he has to be a game changer. He has to be somebody that can take the ball back for his team and things of that nature. So I can see why Eberflus and Poles were trying to put more pressure on him to start getting interceptions and what have you. Now, here's the thing. Everybody's mad. They're like, they didn't say he's elite. All of a sudden, when the coaches start requiring more from you, you start producing more. The defense starts looking better. The team plays better. We start getting wins in the division. So I can't fault the Bears for asking that of him.
Oh, absolutely.
Now that he's actually producing exactly what they were asking for, he's more valuable and the teams are better. So who was right? Was Jalen Johnson right? Because I'm the lead. Well, you kind of are, but you're not because you're not taking the ball away. Now that he's taking the ball away, he's going to get better looks and he's going to be a more valuable player to the team overall. What you got, Bernard?
Yeah, Plank, I think that's an excellent point. I know fans, right? Because we kind of still always have this, not all of us, the Bears are letting good players go and the Bears are cheap, right? Now, if you really think historically, how many players, other than just, during the rebuild phase last year, historically in the last 20 years that you could say the Bears let go at the top of their game? Not many. It has not been many, especially on defense. Right. Especially on defense, those guys have got paid. So that was just a product of, hey, we rebuilding, and it was kind of a quirky situation, new coach, new GM, and you're trying to negotiate when you're not a free agent. So, like, hey, hold down. You're not even a free agent. Hold on, give us a minute, right? Then we don't have an age. So some other quirky stuff going on. But in reality, that's what a coach should be able to do. He should be able to demand that he's getting his best out of you. And management should not just have to pay you the year before your free agency if they don't think they're getting the best out of you. Now,
Right.
yeah, in the long run, maybe it costs them more, but I am not angry if a player gets more money, right? I mean, hey,
Not at all.
if you negotiate with him now, and you end up next year and he end up getting more money, I'm happy for the player because now I'm confident that you got more out of him, and also he got his max value, right? Because what you don't want is the season end and they had gave it to him early, then all these interceptions happened, and he started saying, "Oh man, they they cheated me and they right," and he felt like he got cheated because you get a lot of that in the NFL. The guys be wanting to renegotiate their contract a year later.
Yeah, but I still feel like
the other thing I want to say. Sorry to cut you off, Jay.
go ahead.
I'm about tired of my ex-girlfriend Roquan Smith already complaining every week. Look, dude, we broke up with you. We don't go together no more. I should have to hear every week about he didn't take me to the Cheesecake Factory. He didn't do this. As a player, it really hurts my feelings that a grown man has to feel like he has to take digs at his ex-team. First of all, the Bears traded him to a team where he was able to see his value, where he was able to get a max contract. He's in a situation where he's one of the highest paid players on their team, and I've never seen a linebacker be the highest player of the team and then to make it to the doggone Super Bowl. So he needs to kind of be quiet because the more he talks, the more he starts bringing vision into himself, and that means he's going to have to keep up with all of this stuff he keeps talking about. I'm sorry about that.
No. But I still feel like the Bears should treat Jalen Johnson the way the Bears treated Kyler Fuller.
Sure,
go out, put the transition tag on it, and go out there and see what you were. If somebody give you, Green Bay offered Kyle Fuller what 5 years, $56 million, and they like, oh okay, they say 5 years, $56 million, we'll match that. Come on back. That's why I feel Jalen Johnson is at right now. If somebody said franchise, no, you don't franchise tag, you transition tag him.
Transition tag.
Let him go out and let somebody offer him a contract. And if the contract, because ain't nobody gonna offer him 4 years, $100 million. That's not gonna happen. So let somebody else set the market, and then you just match it. That's it. He could be mad, glad, mad, or indifferent. As long as you get your money as a player, then you should be okay with that.
And he's missed a bunch of games too. Everything that the players bring up is not for their benefit. Sometimes the team has valid points of why they want you to get to a certain level.
Yeah. Hey, Mike Day just said this, and I think this is a valid point. Mike Day is actually saying, I know like one of his other handles, Can You Fit Me In? He said he really didn't want to leave Chicago. I think that's true because he's still talking about, like last week, he was talking about Justin Fields. The week before, he was talking about something else. Then he was talking about how he would have wasted his time in Chicago. Then he said something like, dude, you're playing on a good team. Why are you worried about that?
Get over it. Get over it.
Yeah, but you one did say trade me and all that, and we get to the Cleveland game, but you know what? It does remind me. That's why you'll think it's so funny playing about the girlfriend. It's almost like the girlfriend who gives the ultimatum, the ex-girlfriend. If you don't do this, I'm gonna break up with you. Then you like,
and then you be like, okay,
right? Yeah, all of a sudden,
okay.
Then you're like, oh, you didn't even try to keep me, right? And then now they get you all the drama. Then they badmouth you to everybody and be like, she the one wanted to break up, not me, right?
But before we get into this Cleveland game, y'all, everybody, fans of Bears Banter, y'all forgive me, but I just want to get on my soapbox real quick. I was listening to the NFL radio today, Pat Kerwin and Jim Miller, and they were talking about quarterbacks. And which is why I posed the question on our page today. And I'm like, what's more important? Is it wins or statistics? And they were talking about how Justin Herbert has threw for 4,000 yards his first 4 years in the league. And as I'm driving, I'm saying to myself, like, That's all fine and dandy. But what have the Chargers won? And it pisses me off that the NFL has come, and a lot of this got to do with sports betting and gambling and all this stuff. And when people talking about the NFL, it's a passing league. Says who? You know, I was listening earlier and they was talking about, well, if the Bears beat Cleveland and they rush 40 times and Justin Fields only throw for 170 yards, is that good? And I'm like, why does that matter?
Right.
Why does that matter? As a fan, I want wins because my quarterback can throw for 4,000 yards and 35 touchdowns every year. And we don't win a playoff game. What good is that to me?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't understand. But see, to me, it goes back to, I'm not putting myself on a pedestal, but it goes back to casual sports fans. Everybody want to see scoring. I'm so proud if the Bears could go to Cleveland Sunday and win 6-0. I'm so proud of that because guess what? It's a win. And the only thing that count is wins in the win column. 4,000 yards, you passed for 4,000 yards. You made the Pro Bowl. So what? What did the team do? And that's one of the things where I'm just like, oh my God, I hate the NFL for this right now because all they're talking about is a passing league. Says who? Walter Payton rolling over in his grave right now. He's like, I rushed for 275 yards against Green Bay. And y'all gonna tell me it's a passing league? Come on, man. I'm so sick of it.
The objective always the same. I think I should say think it is. The objective of the game is to win. And hopefully, you know, your goal as a team is to win the Super Bowl. And it kind of like make sure we get to this conversation soon by Cleveland. Let's go back to the conversation I told you I had one of the co-workers. But anyway, he brought up a name of a player we talked about earlier, and he said, man, he's going to be a Pro Bowl. I'm not Pro Bowl. He said he's going to be a Hall of Fame player one day. I said, I don't care about it. We have 0 Hall of Famers if we win a Super Bowl. I said, those are individual accolades. And I said, we give too much stuff into individual accolades. And to go back to your Justin Herbert comment, I've been saying for a long time, I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's overrated. And I had said around game 3 or 4, I said the Bears need to stop this plan of focusing on, to me, it was Justin Fields' stats. And I said the Bears need to create game plans to win and let Justin Fields develop organically, right? Versus you're trying to make him a 40 attempts game pass. I'm talking early in the season, right? Because you're trying to prove if he could. No, your team needs to have a winning game plan. And if that happened within that winning game plan, that's fine. So I'm okay, like what Jay saying. If he had 125 yards and the running backs both have 250 total and you win 9-0, so what?
Because if Justin go out Sunday and throw for 300 yards and we lose, what is that? What is it? Yeah. Well, Justin threw for 300 yards, but yeah, we lost. So what?
Denver game.
I'm going to tell you what the problem is. Here's the problem. To your point, Jay, most of the fans are casual fans, and they've gotten into watching fantasy football. So fantasy football prevails the numbers. So you get a quarterback on your fantasy team. If he throws for 400 yards, you look better. That has nothing to do with whether his team is better and they win or not. So we need to get away from that fantasy football idea. Think about it. When you're watching fantasy football, you don't have any actual input into a team winning. You have a team.
It's all about individuals.
You got 32 teams, and you got a guy, 32 guys on your team, one guy from every team. So what team are you really cheering for? Nothing. The team you're cheering for is in your mind based on the statistics. We are old school football players and watchers. That's why we cheer for our team. And I don't care how they win, as long as they do.
If they win. Because guess what? If the game plan against Cleveland is to run the ball 40 times to win, I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
I am so okay with that. So it's just one of the things where it just really pisses me off when I hear people talk about, well, he didn't throw for 300, but did they win the game? He threw for 170. Did they win? That's all I care about. All I care about is wins. So that's why I posed that question on our page today. Like, what's more important? Is it the stats or the wins? So
you remember last year I used to always talk about my prediction for the Bears is that the Bears were going to win 2-0. Well, we actually had a game this year, 3-0. Is anybody talking about Minnesota as a lesser team or nothing? No, they took the win, and that counts up there with the rest of the wins. That's all that really matters.
A win, because believe it or not, fans, believe it or not, wins in the NFL are very hard to come by. Very hard to come by.
Yeah. So when we go into this Cleveland game, I mean, what's the key to winning? I do believe the Bears gotta establish that they can run the ball with their running backs. They got to, and you gotta try to neutralize Myles Garrett. I mean, he's a tough guy. I mean, he's a guy. It don't matter what the stats say. I don't care. He a guy that terrorizes you.
And he's actually playing at 80% right now because he has a shoulder injury. So he's not even at 100% right now.
Right.
We going into this Cleveland game at a very good time because they're injured. Both of their offensive tackles are out. They starting safety Delpit went on IR. Joe Flacco is old as me at playing quarterback. We going into this game right now where things are looking good for us, and if we can neutralize this crowd, the Bears can actually pull this win off. Some kind of way they can pull this win off.
I'll tell you what, this year I'm actually excited that Myles Garrett is playing against the Bears offensive line because as I see it, the Bears offensive line is undervalued. We've got one weak position, and that's the center. I'm looking forward to Myles Garrett lining up against different positions. I can't wait to see him line up against Tevin Jenkins. I think he's going to get a little bit more than he bargained for. So let him come on. What you got, Jay?
And I think Braxton Jones is going to put the naysayers away this week. Sir. If he can neutralize Myles Garrett, I mean, I know every play they're gonna have to give him some help on some plays. But if he can neutralize Myles Garrett, he's gonna solidify himself and be like, okay, we got our left tackle because you're going against the premier pass rusher in the NFL outside of Micah Parsons. So if you can neutralize Myles Garrett, that just gives Poles another chip in the draft. Be like, okay, well, I drafted this guy in the 5th round, and I got a tackle. I got a starting tackle. So I don't need to waste a top 10 pick to get another one. This thing is so much bigger than what people realize, man. This thing is big. And the play of this, I have never felt like a game has been so much bigger with a losing record as a Bears fan than this game right here. This game is going to tell a lot. It's going to tell a lot, man.
Yeah, that's a great point, Jay. And Plank, you mentioned about the offensive line. I think they have, even though these guys wasn't here, hardly any of them was here when they got the 9 sacks 2 years ago. But still, I think a lot of times you keep hearing stuff like once the Bears get a better offensive line. No, the Bears need a better center. And I'm gonna point out something, and I know people gonna misinterpret this, but I'm gonna say it, and maybe those who understand gonna understand. Okay, in this game, what we do need is we get help for those linemen, and we need Justin Fields to be disciplined in his dropbacks. Last game, it was a few times where I was like, Justin Fields took almost 8 steps back.
Right.
In one play early in the game, it almost led them into a sack. Now, if you wasn't really paying attention,
a safety. It almost led to a safety.
Correct, almost to a safety. I'm in a safety. You would have thought that the linemen didn't block because they got to him so fast. No, the problem what happened was Justin Fields took so many steps back. He took about 8 steps that Wright rolled his man back, thinking he's behind Justin Fields. But Fields had went back all the way into the end zone. That when he rolled him back into Justin Fields. Justin Fields should have been at max 5 steps back at max. He was 8. So we just need him to be disciplined in his drop back, right? If it's a quick release, you may just be releasing it, or if it's a 2-step or 3-step. If it's a longer pass, then maybe it's a 5-step. It's probably nothing that it should be 8 unless you're being chased. You know,
you're right.
It messes up your alignments, especially if you drift to the right, right? If you're faded in the pocket to the right or left, because especially when linemen are the offensive tackles, if they're facing those pass rushers who take wide angles, those guys gonna always be out wide, and your guys are gonna just ride them. Go ahead. I'm sorry, guys.
You're right. There's a lot of nuance to watching football and playing. So these offensive linemen are looking. So, for example, the tackles are looking to make a block 8 yards deep. Okay, so they're expecting the quarterback to stop his last step probably 6 or 7 yards deep. If by the time you done got your inflection point at 13 yards deep, the offensive line has no idea where to make that block at. So you're right. That plays a huge role. We need another week this week, like what Darnell Wright did last week to Aiden Hutchinson. I wasn't able to get on the show. He completely dominated what was an elite defensive lineman.
Yes,
if we can get that kind of game against Myles Garrett, I see us coming away with a win. So that's what I'm looking for the whole game.
And you know, I just saw, and I don't want to, emphasize just one game, but last week I saw some growth in this offense. You know, like the 4th and 13 play where Hutchinson jumped off sides. You know, you can't coach that. Right. You can't coach that. You can call that play in the huddle, but you can't coach that. And they were talking about how they lined up and everybody was calling out. They had no desire to snap that football.
Right.
No desire to snap that football. But when they lined up, everybody was pointing and calling out. And we stand in the stands. We was like, they ain't gonna snap this ball. They ain't gonna snap this ball. Then you had Komet go in motion, and we like, maybe they are gonna snap the ball. Maybe they are gonna snap the ball. And then Hutchinson jumps off sides. Lucas Patrick, for the 2 years you've been here, that was the best. That was the best thing you ever did.
Yeah.
When Hutchinson jumped off side, you snapped the ball. You snapped the ball, and everybody that was lined up did go routes.
Yeah.
Everybody did go routes. Justin was able to get the ball, throw it to DJ Moore, touchdown. We stand in the sides like, that's a touchdown. They offsides. That's growth. That's growth. But it comes with progression, man. It comes with progression. And you know, NFL fans, Bears fans, Jaguars fans, whatever fan you are, y'all don't have the patience to understand that this game is so intricate that it takes time, especially when you're in a rebuild. It takes time for these things to come together. But everybody is so like, okay, well, 2 years ago, here in this 3rd year, we need to move on. Just like, the Cardinals. They draft Josh Rosen, 1st round. The next year, 1st round, they draft Kyler Murray. And not to mention it real quick, and then I'm going to get off my soapbox, because I've been kind of mad today just listening to Sports Talk Radio today. I've been kind of mad. They talk about Kyler Murray. They talk about Baker Mayfield. They were what? 1st round draft picks, right?
Yeah.
First round overall, right? 1st round overall, right?
Yep.
Who did they play in college? Who did they play in college under? Lincoln Riley. Who did Caleb Williams play under?
Lincoln Riley.
I rest my case. Caleb Williams is not as good. Caleb Williams is not as good as people think he is. I'm sorry. Yep. He's a smaller version. Caleb Williams, what, 6'1"?
If that.
Maybe 6 feet. Yeah.
Right.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. People talk the next generational talent. Says who? Says who?
But you know what, Jay? I don't know. I don't know if football talent. I don't know if football talent is counted like dog years or something. I don't know, because they talk about generational talent every other year, right? And the generation is much longer than that. But I saw somebody mention about getting pressure on Flacco to create turnovers. I think Flacco is good for he's one of those guys that's good for about 1 or 2 games, and then his style, like Plank say, he has to throw you the ball. And
guess what? He came off the couch. He came off the couch doing the same thing we've been doing. He came off the couch and won 2 games. Oh, buddy boy, that's about it for you. The Bears gonna get after this dude, and I'm telling you, they're gonna get after this dude. They're gonna get after him.
Man, the sweat effect, man, is gonna be key, because what I like about him too is the way he's playing is he's not playing like a selfish player. See, some players want that sack for themselves so much that they don't realize at times they can run that sack into the next guy, but they got to get that sack themselves. And I know sometimes when we Chicago fans, we done went through such turmoil and, bad years, that we like to also feel like our team is the worst culture of everything it is. We always the worst. But you have to listen to Montez Sweat. He like, man, this is so much better than when I was in Washington. Because I remember when he got here, some people was like, man, he gonna find a whole lot. And I said, do y'all realize Washington was even worse? Right? And he's like, man, this feel like a family. He was like, man, we got a great locker room. We got a heck of a coach. Right. And you know what I'm saying? So this guy, he feel the camaraderie. Only been here a few games. And man, you look at that guy, man, after that last game, man. I mean, hell, it made me smile, man. How happy he looked at the end of that game, man. Hugging players and hugging poles, man. You like, man, we got a guy that want to be here.
Right.
Well, instead of me saying, he was trying to sweat people like Keith, it's going to be sweat people like Montez. Hey, that should let you know, if nothing else, think about all of this culture. Everybody keeps talking about which coaches are better than the coach that we have and all of that stuff. Ron Rivera and Eric Bieniemy are in Washington. That's where Montez Sweat just left. So we always thinking that next
grass is always green on the other side.
You got to remember, your prom date is cute too. That's the prom date. You went to prom with her. You better go ahead and like the girl that you brought to the dance. So that's where I am.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He torn his ACL. What are they already talking about?
What did he say? I think he was referring to he said somebody have hold on.
I want to coach, but he's torn his ACL. Do you need an ACL?
It was something somebody said earlier.
Okay.
Yeah, somebody mentioned something earlier. Okay. But yeah, as far as the Bears, I think if they play solid defense, keep on this turnover thing. I do say when teams are getting turnovers like this, it becomes automatic. They kind of get real hot and they get on the streak. I mean, if you look at it, the Bears went from a team with no turnovers to almost multiple turnovers. What, the last 4 games? Even the 2 of the games they lost, they actually had 4 turnovers and 5 turnovers in those games. So I don't see them. I know they say turnovers, you can't count on them. No, you can't count on them. But the momentum is indicating that most likely there's going to be some turnovers in this game.
Yeah, well, we got to get more like a Lovie Smith defense. Not only get the turnovers, but start concentrating on turning those turnovers into points. I think that's the only thing that this defense is missing right now. So that way you don't have to hear that we got 4 turnovers, but we only got 6 points from them.
And keep not only that, which is where your offense come in. Your defense is creating turnovers. And if they're not scoring, We're putting you on the short side of the field. You need to convert these turnovers into points, and not only field goals. They need to be touchdowns.
Right.
That's where the Bears are missing as far as the turnover battle goes. You getting the turnovers, and then you 3 and out and you're punting. That's not helping. You got to convert turnovers into touchdowns. TNT. That's what I call it. TNT. Turnovers into touchdowns. Not turnovers into field goals. Turnovers into touchdowns. You got to do that.
Okay.
2 for 2.
Uh-oh.
2 for 2.
Okay, let's do real quick. 2 for 2. About to play 2 for 2. Man, this is a little tough, man.
It is.
My
it
top
actually
2.
is.
Man, you know what? I my top 2, I'm gonna say 49ers is top team, and right now the second team is questionable. I'm debating between Dallas and the Ravens, but I believe both of them are pretenders. So I'm gonna go with both are pretenders. I'm gonna go with this week. I'm gonna go with 49ers, and I'm gonna go with Dallas as my top 2, and my bottom 2. I'm gonna go with the Panthers and the Patriots.
I actually can't argue with any of that. So you got a point. You got a good point. Dallas, I can't elevate Dallas Cowboys to the top 2, only because they have let these fan bases down consistently for the last 28 years. So every year people start talking about this is the year for Dallas. Once they get to the Super Bowl, I'm going to have a different conversation. But clearly, number 1, 49ers right now. And I'm going to put number 2. I know this is not very popular. The Eagles. I know they're going through a bit of a soft spell, but so did the 49ers early in the year. So a lot of times, you get every team in the NFL is a new team year to year. Why? Because you don't have the same 53 players that you had the year before. And even if you did have the same, players get older, players get injured or whatever. So I still think Philadelphia's got a lot of mental strength to overcome this losing streak and the set of losing streaks. So I think they're going to end up being okay by the end of the year. So the worst 2, I don't know why we keep putting Carolina in there. I think they're one of the better 2 teams because we got their draft choice. And I'm glad that they out there taking a bunch of egg burgers. So not a problem. Then that next one, I think you're right. The Patriots, I think they're pretty bad.
Who would have ever?
They're trying to lose games now.
Yeah, indeed. Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Quit drinking the Dallas coffee, because that ain't good coffee. I'm telling you, 28 years in a row, they're gonna let people down.
Well, I'm gonna tell y'all my top 2. My top 2.
Really?
I'm gonna go San Francisco 1 and San Francisco 1A, because I'm gonna tell y'all something. Man. As long as you got Deebo Samuel, Brock Purdy, and Christian McCaffrey on the field, they are 17-0. They are 17-0 when all of them play and ain't nobody injured. San Francisco is the epitome of greatness in the NFL right now. And so if I had to give y'all a number 2 team, I would give y'all Baltimore just because in the AFC. I think Kansas City's run is not over.
I'm sorry.
There you go. But they realize that, they don't have a Tyreek Hill. I'm kind of like Miami, but without Tyreek, I saw last week, without Tyreek Hill, when he got injured, they just an ordinary team.
The whole team, right?
The whole team is just an ordinary team. So I'm going to go with the 49ers and Baltimore as the top 2. And my bottom 2, I can't. I want to put the Chargers in there, but because they haven't lost enough games, I can't put them in there. But what we saw last night was absolutely pathetic.
42 points in the first half? Jeez.
Oh my God, that was sad. I was actually mad because I was actually trying to get home real quick so I could actually get the game on, turn the game on. Man, please. But
what's
up, guy? So I am gonna go. So I am gonna go with the. So I am gonna go with Carolina, which I actually think they're gonna win this week. I'm gonna go with Carolina, and I'm gonna go with help me out here. The Patriots. I'm sorry, the Patriots. Okay. The Patriots. And one other thing I do want to say is that Pittsburgh.
Mitch Trubisky. Okay.
That's a bad football team. That's a bad football team. That's a bad football team.
Man, Jay, CJ, that's why we got every once in a while we got to sneak in a second show in the middle of the week so we could talk about a couple of more of these games that occur.
Because I want to talk about the upset. Because I'm gonna tell y'all, Dallas gonna lose this week. Buffalo is gonna beat Dallas this week. Y'all heard it here. I'm telling y'all, Buffalo is gonna beat Dallas this week. I told my mom because I told y'all my mom, she called me every week for her picks. She's like, "You think Dallas gonna lose?" Yeah, it's time for Dallas to come off that high horse. They just beat Philadelphia. They riding high real now. They hiding real high right now. Time to bring it down because guess what? Y'all still ain't as good as y'all think y'all are.
Yeah. Hey Jay,
stealing money too, right?
Yeah, I got some guys who wants to launch a Steelers podcast on this channel called Shaka and Baba, and they upset about Pittsburgh. I don't know if they started, then they talk about it, but Mitch, man. See, I wish people now would stop saying the Bears ruined Mitch. We just kind of found out now Mitch is just who he is, right? And he didn't got opportunities, and whatever reason, he just can't capitalize on them. But anyway, looking at the game, what are y'all games of the week before we get to the predictions? Y'all have games of the week yet? I actually have the Ravens and the Jaguars. I think this is going to be a key game for both, right? Because the Jaguars, I think the team right behind them is kind of right on them. And the Ravens division, all those teams are still pretty close. So every win is going to count in that division between clinching that division and being a wild card. What you got, guy?
How dare you guys besmirch the name of Mitchell Trubisky? Mitch Trubisky is that fat kid, Little League, to hit the 400-foot home runs. As soon as he get to high school, he couldn't catch a cold butt naked in the Antarctic. But now you're right though, man. You kind of seeing who he really is, and I mean, we kind of harped on that too, as far as why'd you pick him so high with the few amount of games, and look who they took ahead. But I have so much, but I'll keep it.
Okay.
Well, I think my game of the week. I think my game of the week, believe it or not, and people might call me crazy, the Dolphins and the Jets.
I was looking at that, Jay. I was about to say
the Dolphins and the Jets. That's gonna be real interesting. You got Zach Wilson, who came off a 300-yard passing game last week against the Dolphins with a gimpy Tyreek Hill. That game is in Minnesota. I mean, that game is in Miami. But the Jets, no matter as bad as their offense is, the Jets still play defense. They still play defense. So that's, to me, that's my game of the week. That's gonna be real interesting because if the Jets wind up beating the Dolphins, that's really gonna shake up the AFC playoff pitch.
Yeah, my game of the week is the Broncos and the Vikings.
The Broncos and the Lions. The Broncos and the
Lions are coming up, and the Vikings scored 3 points. I just want to see the first to 6 wins.
That's the Broncos and the
Broncos are playing the Lions this week.
The Broncos and the Lions this week.
Oh,
right.
Broncos and Lions.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is also that's what I meant. I'm sorry, that's what I meant. Because I want to see if the Lions really are who they say they are.
The Lions are who we think
they are. The Vikings are really as bad as we see they are.
The Lions are who The Lions are who we know they are. I'm telling y'all.
So what you telling me is the Lions are starting to lion.
The Lions are starting to lion. Exactly. They
Don't know
starting to
what you're
lion.
buying. You're a fan of the Lions. I'm sorry. I was getting my swerve on.
I just want to make a quick comment about what you just said about the Jets and the Dolphins. I do actually think I heard some interesting stuff this week. Zach Wilson really is in the I don't care zone. He pretty much said, I'm just going to go out there and play. Worst thing they could do now is just bench me. And he said, I've been benched a couple times now, so ain't no big deal.
And that's dangerous. That's dangerous.
Right? Because a guy like that, like
dangerous.
And I don't know, man, it's me, but I swear, I think without Tyreek Hill, the Josh, whatever his name, what's it, McDaniels? No, McDonald's. Whatever.
Mike McDaniels. Mike McDaniels.
I swear he gets too much credit, like he's some genius. Man, I swear this guy at times, I be like, if without Tyreek, I'm like, man, that's Trestman. I be like, that's Trestman in disguise.
And I'm gonna tell y'all something. And I'm gonna tell you. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Plank real quick. And I'm gonna tell y'all something. Players like Zach Wilson, when I say it's dangerous, is because again, the NFL just don't allow these players to develop.
Mm-hmm.
You draft these kids in the first round. It's like, well, I'm drafting this guy in the first round, so he's got to be a starter.
Facts.
It doesn't always happen that way. And the NFL has become such a big entity in business and not about the game anymore, where they don't develop players. They don't develop players. I'm gonna sink my franchise all because he gonna be on a rookie contract. And I got time to do this. And because he on a rookie contract, I'm hoping he gonna be able. It's sad, man. It's sad. It's become a big business and not the game that we growing up loved.
Okay, 2 points. 2 points, Jay. You're 100% right. And I hate to give Green Bay credit for anything. So that lets you know how bad I feel about this. Green Bay ended up drafting Jordan Love, 4 years ago? And let him sit out there on the bench and try to learn and learn the ins and outs before they actually put him on the field. And now Green Bay is reaping the benefits of it because they are at least competitive. Number two, I wanted to talk about all of these anointed offensive minds that are in the NFL. Once you pull back the covers, a lot of these guys aren't ready. Specifically, I'm just going to talk about Kellen Moore. Everybody was talking about how great Kellen Moore was when he was in Dallas, and the Dallas Cowboys offense didn't look any better. They got rid of him. Look at Dallas's offense now. Kellen Moore ran that whole Chargers offense yesterday that we saw out there. I think he was defensive coordinator too, because he might as well. So that's just to say, be careful who we keep asking for. We keep thinking that the next coach is going to be the genius. Sometimes, people always think things are going to get better. Things can get worse too. So
just like everybody talk about this offensive coordinator at Detroit, Ben Johnson.
Right.
I think this dude they called 13 games, and now he the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Is he?
Is that what make you a head coach in the NFL right now? It's sad, man. It's just totally sad.
Us grown men, we call a BBL. A BBL for us is a big boy league. People don't understand, man. It's like boxing. You don't play boxing. It's just like these guys get out here and they coach a decent college team, or they had a little success and just automatically think that these dudes are wunderkinds. And then they come here and they so puzzled. It's like, man, this ain't easy. It ain't easy, but you got to kind of, instead of anointing these guys, you got to see what they do, because all these guys that they're anointing as these offensive gurus, Bobby Boucher's coach did better than them. That's all.
Hey, like
It's
thank
amazing,
everybody who
man.
tuned in tonight to
You know, I'm
Bears
just
Banner. Hit the subscribe button. I'm sorry, Jay. Go ahead.
Oh, we didn't go through predictions yet, Bernard.
Oh no, I was just saying subscribe to Bears Banner. That's all.
Okay. Yes, subscribe, please. Wait, what number we at? 700?
701.
Congratulations.
701. There we go.
700. Let's go to 1,000. Come on, people. We can do this.
Right. There you go. We can do it. We can do it. We can do it. Well, I'm gonna get my prediction, and I said earlier, I don't care if the Bears run the ball 40 times. I just want to win. I just want to win, and I'm predicting with all the injuries we catching the Browns at a good time because they injured on offense and defense, and they playing with a 55-year-old quarterback.
75. Okay.
75. They playing with a 55-year-old quarterback, and I'm predicting that it's going to be a Cairo Santos field goal to win this game. Bears win 17-14.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I got a different prediction going on. I got the Bears offense is definitely going to bring some different things. Even though we got a 15-play Getsy going, we got to hope that Getsy's going to be the same guy for the last 15 plays that he is for the first 15 plays. But
I want to go back to that point. I want to go back to that point after I get everybody's prediction. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm going with the Bears 30, the Browns 21.
Ooh, okay.
Cleveland, let's think about it. Cleveland, the last 3 games with their defense intact, has given up at least 31 points.
Yes, they have.
The last 3 games.
Yes, they have.
And that's the guys that they were familiar with. They've lost a lot of those games. So there's no way I see the Cleveland Browns keeping up that pressure. They're still living right now on what was the number 1 defense a couple of games ago. That's not the same guys that's out there playing. So let's see how this turns out.
Okay, we got Mike Day score. He has, what's he at, 28-10?
28-10.
Hey, Mike, if you free Sunday, Mike, come on the show. Sunday, I know you ain't been on, and maybe that was almost 2 months ago when Mike Day came on. I got my prediction. I have the Bears 17 and the Browns 10.
Okay.
What you got, guy?
I got the Bears 23-17 because there's no way I can pick them when you're saying you're taking the Browns to the Super Bowl. And it means something that's not nice.
Okay. So what you had, Jay? You said you wanted to go back to
the first 15 and last 15.
First 15,
first 15 and last 15. I was when we was at the game last week, and we were tailgating. Guys was talking about how the first 15 scripted plays for the Bears has always been. It's been so good because the Bears lead the league actually in like first quarter, first drive touchdowns. Mm-hmm. And I was saying I don't know if the first 15 is scripted. Because everybody do it different. Do they do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14? Do they do 1, 3, 5, 7, 9? However they run it. But my thing is with Getsy, I don't understand. Run what works. If you run it 1 through 15, run it back 15 through 1. If you run all odd numbers, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, run it back 1, 3, 5, 7. I don't get it. Run what's working because it seems like the Bears' first scripted 15 plays marches them down the field. And I don't understand how you run. When I was playing ball, our coach used to tell us, okay, we ran that play, they can't stop it. Guess what? We're going to run it until they stop it. And they can't get away from the running game. You got to, in order to beat a great pass rusher like Myles Garrett, you got to run the football. You got to make him overcommit. It's a simple game plan. It's a simple game plan for a win. But then people, again, on my soapbox, people, well, he ain't throw for 300. I don't care. I want to win. Mm-hmm. So if we have to run the ball 40, 45 times, do it. We got 3 healthy running backs.
Jay, I like that idea that you were talking about. Let's say you
15 apiece.
let's say you take those first 15, and the next time divide it by 3. So they run 5, 10, and 15. Whatever it is, those are plays that you've already showed are working, that you done thought about and worked on the whole week. You need to develop some better continuity. I think what's happening is Getsy gets those 15 points, and then he decides, I got to be a genius and figure out to get some different play. You don't.
You're not the smartest person. You're not the smartest person in the room. And it doesn't. Ever. It doesn't. That's the thing about the internet. Everybody overanalyze and overthink things. It's almost like simple. To me, even in life, simple is always the best. Mm-hmm. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Suggestion. I got one suggestion. You know how they do the Celebrity Apprentice? They should have a celebrity offensive coordinator where you can actually pick the offensive coordinator of your choice and let him script 15 plays for the Bears. You can either use the first 15 or the last 15.
Give it to me. Give it to me. And
I'll tell it to Mike Marks.
I have a marching up and down the field. I'll change the. It's so much, man. The Bears have bad formations. It's so many things I'll be looking at. I'm like, this is a bad formation. Why are y'all running this? Like the route concepts. It's so many things that I look at this team, and I'm not a professional, but I feel like I know the game, and it's just like the route concepts and the formations that y'all running as a NFL team is absolutely trash. It's trash.
But Jay, you don't speak Latin, but you know what per diem is, right?
Right.
There you go. Jay, I know this is another conversation. I probably shouldn't say this because it'll probably open up a can of worms as far as, a longer discussion, but I'll just say it before we close out. That's why I keep saying, when I keep seeing people say, man, you got to keep Getsy now, because Justin can't have another coordinator. And my whole argument is, think about it as a school teacher. If the students in this class are doing bad because they have a poor teacher, why would you keep that teacher on your staff? That doesn't make sense. That's not going to make those students better students. So to me, you're saying he's running elementary concepts, sometimes bad route coming, some stuff Jay said. So you actually gonna say, for consistency, I want him to come back next year. For what? So you may end up getting inconsistent results again, right? That doesn't make sense.
Because guess what? Because guess what?
Bernard, check this out. Y'all all can answer this question. You ever notice you can bring in an offensive coordinator when plays start working, how easy it is for players to remember the plays?
That's all I was gonna say. 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 Everybody talk about, well, he'll be learning his fourth offense in 4. Guess what? He's smart enough to do that because, as they were saying at the combine, he was smart and all this. He was able to get on the whiteboard. No. Offensive coordinators make this game too complicated. Y'all, and like I said, this will be a whole nother thing because it'll just prolong the show. But everybody saw that whole John Gruden thing where he was spitting out the plays, and I forgot who the quarterback was. He couldn't even regurgitate what John Gruden was saying because it was so much verbiage, and it doesn't take it. I'm not a professional, and I don't claim to be. I played the game a little bit, but it doesn't take all that verbiage to get a play called on offense. It doesn't.
You look at things like that, and it's actually the exact same thing as learning a new language. How long does it take you to learn French? You're not going to learn French in a couple days. You're not going to learn Spanish. So all of the verbiage that they putting out there, and each offensive coordinator has his own. You have to learn 100% of a new language in order to be effective with that. The plays themselves aren't that different. It's the language that makes it look like it's different. We used to have a play called a dive. Somebody else might call it a pull. It's the same play. You can put a cat in the oven. That don't make it a biscuit.
Right.
Yeah, but if you put a pizza in the oven with some tinfoil. No, but you know what? But you're 100% right, man. But I find that I've seen offenses that were just deplorable. They get rid of the offensive coordinator, they bring an offensive coordinator, and these guys are starting to move the ball. You'd be shocked at how fast they learn the playbook, just like with language. With Americans, they teach people foreign languages, they pull out these books and all this other stuff, whereas these other countries, you know what they do? They stick you in a class with another language and just sit you there. All you got to do is just be in an environment where you put your players as an offensive coordinator, you put your players in a position to have success. You'd be shocked at the type of results you get when guys are so used to losing and they bring a guy on board that's doing nothing but making them better. Now dudes are learning this stuff. You like, wait a minute, you ain't even offensive lineman. How you know this? You on the defense? It's like, because we winning.
Yeah.
Kellen Moore.
If you execute,
Kellen Moore. That's all I can say. Kellen Moore. All I can say. Look how much Dallas. Look how much better Dallas offense is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Dak even said the play calling has been simplified. It doesn't take. I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah. Yeah. If you execute properly and pay attention to a lot of the details as an offense, you don't really need a lot of plays. You really don't need a lot of plays. You know, most of the stuff is taking the same play and making the same play look different, right? You just put some people in motion and this play, then you do this, and then, but really the whole concept of most of your plays start from the same point of view. You really don't need a lot of plays.
I can run the same play 5 times in a different formation with motion. It doesn't, it's the same play. It's the same play. I'll run it to the right. I'll run that same play with motion. Run it to the left. The NFL want to make this so complicated. And again, we can sit here and we can talk. We're not professionals, but we have pretty good knowledge of the game. And the bottom line is they make this too complicated, and it doesn't have to be. It really doesn't.
Yeah. I see Mike Day said about learning a new. Actually, that's the only thing I disagree with you on, Mike. And I understand the concept you're saying. You have to change the language, because if you run the same language, I'm telling you, I always point back to this. Gruden won 1 Super Bowl. He won that Super Bowl. I mean, it was a good team. Don't get me wrong on there. But when they faced the Raiders, it's because what's his name? Callahan. I think his name was Callahan. Was the offensive coach. He was the head coach. He had worked under Gruden, and they promoted Trestman, and they kept the language identical. And when they got in the Super Bowl, the Tampa Bay knew every play,
everything they was talking about.
So you got to change the language. They even had the same audibles. They were sitting up there like Derek Brooks. I'm like, man, the coach said that's what they would do on this audible. So you got to change the language. But if you think the language is good, then to me, you're just saying the coach is a bad play caller. It's more than the language. Just a bad play caller. Right. It's bad designs. It's bad concepts that he's running, how he gets the plays. It's correct. Yeah. So why would you want to keep the language when I wouldn't want to keep the language, right? Detach yourself from everything. It's like a gut rehab on the offense, right? You know.
Yeah. How many plays can you run out of one formation?
No,
you can run
a lot.
You can run multiple plays out of one formation. The formation really doesn't matter. The formation doesn't matter. You can run so many plays. I can run a crossbuck at the same play 5 different times in 5 different holes. We're going to run a crossbuck. So now we're going to run a crossbuck to the 2 hole. We're going to run a crossbuck to the 1 hole. The fullback go motion to the right, and we're going to run the crossback to the left. It is so much. It's all about play design. You got to be creative, but you don't have to overthink it. You don't have to overthink it.
So you saying Gessie running plays to the A-hole. But you know what, you're right. Because say, for instance, you have a myriad of play, you have a myriad of possibilities in a certain set, but the language is the same, and You played against a team that's played against you, they basically jumping in all your routes.
You know, it's just like route concepts. It's just like route concepts. I look at some of Gessie route concepts and I just question, like, okay, why are 3 people in the same area?
I'm guarding them all.
You got one defensive back guarding 3 people because everybody's in the same area. And it's like, what are you doing? That's not even elementary. It's not even elementary. You got one guy running a 10-yard. You got to, and I just use my numbers. You got a one wide receiver running a 1, and you got the second wide receiver that's in the slot right next to him running a 6. So they right on top of each other, and it's like,
and I split the difference.
If I'm intending to throw to the 1 route, the 6 route, looking at his hands like you in my vision, because you got people on the same level. You got one person running the 10-yard route, and you got one person running the 3-yard route. So they don't even know who the quarterback throwing to. Those are the type of routes that I look at that Gessie is calling, and I'm like, what are you doing?
And as a DB, I don't care. I'm looking at the quarterback. I'm going to catch it anyway.
Yeah, because most points when I'm going to try to simplify, like I ain't never played on that level either, but I'll use this comparison. Most of the time when you're going from one offense to another one, most of them are very similar. Really, it's almost like going from, I'm going to use these language, French and Spanish. A lot of the
just different languages
words are the same. A lot of the words are the same. That's why a lot of times people speak French. It's not hard for them to learn Spanish because the words
like abrir los libros. Abrir los libros. People play la page cuatro. Habla los libros, por favor, en página 4, which is open your books to page 4 in 2 languages.
Now, what happened is when you get a bad coordinator, they want to speak. I'm gonna use Russian. I don't mean no offense, but they speak in Russian, and everybody else who's been called have been speaking French and Spanish. Now you got a guy that's speaking Russian, and now the language is confusing everybody. It's even confusing the linemen. Those usually are the coordinators that get fired in 1 year. You know, they get fired pretty fast. People like, man, you better go back to college or go to Division III or whatever. But
or give us a speaking spell.
I'm sorry, we'll put some can of worms. Anybody got something else before we close out for the night? I know we went a little bit over, but no,
I'm good.
Okay,
no, I'm good.
So we'll be on here Sunday about 30 minutes after the game, approximately about 3:30. And please hit subscribe to Bears Banter and share with your football fanatic and Bears fans.
Right there.
You know, we need to pick up another 100 subscribers as soon as possible. Until then, peace.